Linda, I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm making some cards and a box, like a little gift box, for the Stamp and Hop blog hop, and the theme is Casing the Catalogue. So I'm going to show you what I'm casing. So page 83. I'm actually casing this card here, but I'm going to be doing it around this way, and I'm using the note card, so it's going to be nice and small. And then the box that I really like. Okay, so I really love this box here. This is actually, I think it is actually in the embellishment section. So this is actually an embellishment kit, but I really like the box shape, and so I'm casing that to put the cards in. So let's start. I think I'm doing 4 cards. I'm using the Seaside Notions. So let's put these to one side. So I have cut 4 layers here. They are 3 3/8 by 4 7/8, and there's Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, Pool Party, and Balmy Blue. And I'm going to be putting the seahorse on the front of these, but before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on the background. I'm starting with Bermuda Bay, and I'm using Bermuda Bay ink. And I'm using the largest shell, and I'm just stamping all over the background. So as you can see, I've stamped all over this with the Bermuda Bay onto the Bermuda Bay cardstock, and I've left hardly any gaps at all, so I've got that really, as many shells as I can crammed in there. I'm going to do the same with the Pool Party, but I'm going to be using this shell this time, and I'm going to use Coastal Cabana. So I finished my Pool Party, and I did actually go over, I touched a couple of times on this one, but try not to touch if you can. And now I'm going to be working on my Balmy Blue, and I'm going to use the Sea Urchin, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue ink. So my Sea Urchin background is now finished, so Balmy Blue on Balmy Blue, and the last one is Pool Party. Now I said this was Pool Party, this wasn't, this was Coastal Cabana. So that was Coastal Cabana, this is Pool Party, and I'm actually going to be using Coastal Cabana on this. And I'm going to go with the shells again. There is a really small shell, but I think that's going to be too small for this background. And there's my Pool Party, and I finished stamping that. So when you stamp, make sure you stamp off the edge, don't just stamp all of your shells in the middle. We want the whole page to be completely filled. So I have die cut using the stitched nested label dies, this really pretty die, so you get a little stitching around the edge, so that's really pretty. And we're going to, using our seahorse, we're going to use our memento ink and stamp that in the middle. So these are going to be quite simple cards, but they're going to look great. So my seahorse is going to go in the middle here, and I am going to colour this in using my blends. So far I have just coloured the whole of my seahorse in with dark Pool Party, no shading at all, and then I've put in the dark Bermuda Bay just around some of the edges, and that is for a little bit of shading. And then I'm going to pull in my light Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to go around and do a little bit of blending in those shaded areas. And then I'm going to finish off by bringing in my dark Pool Party and blending everything in with my lightest colour. you may well have seen me do this technique before. I'm just going to go over with my embossing buddy, and I have done this on another card that I made not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, with the seahorse on. And at the time I stamped it onto this masking paper and cut it out, and I'm going to use this again. I've just keep this in my stamping set, and then I can just keep pulling it out and using it again. So I've gone over with my embossing buddy. I'm using the stamp with lots of little dots all over it, and some Versamark ink. So I'm just going to cover my seahorse in these dots, and I'm going to completely cover him. Then we can take this away. I'm bringing in my silver embossing powder. I'm going to sprinkle over my seahorse. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but then it's picked up all those lovely little dots. I'm going to take this over to my table and heat emboss it. And there is my lovely seahorse. Hopefully you can see all that lovely shine there. And so for the eye, I'm just using one of the little jewels here. I'm putting that in there. Now I've got to admit, I'm not sure if these are Stampin' Up ones. I found them in my stash, and they might be, but they might not. But Stampin' Up do make these, and they're very similar if they're not identical. And I have done this 4 times. So I've done 3 in Pool Party with Bermuda Bay, and then the one that I'm doing in Balmy Blue, I did that in Balmy Blue, light and dark, and I did a little bit of light Night of Navy for some shading. So they're all ready to go. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the background. So our seahorse is going to go in the middle here. I've also die cut some of this lovely net from the under the sea framelits, and I'm going to put that underneath as well. But before I do that, I'm bringing in my light Balmy Blue, and I'm going to be using my paintbrush end, and I'm just going gently all the way around my sea urchins. So I'm just actually colouring this spacing in between, and I'm trying to do this without putting my head under the camera, so it probably looks a bit odd. And you see how this is going to make our sea urchins really pop from the background. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that. I've not done that bit in the middle because we're not going to be able to see that. And we've got our seahorse on. And look at that. How great does that look? It really makes the sea urchins pop. It does take a little bit of time, but not as long as you'd think, because we're just doing, that is why we're getting the stamps so close together. So we don't have too much colouring to do after. So I'm going to continue and do all of these. So I'm going to be using my Bermuda Bay for this one. I have Pool Party for this one, but they do not make a Coastal Cabana blender. So I'm just going to use one of the others, either the Pool Party or the Bermuda Bay. And I'll come back to you when I've finished all of my backgrounds now. And on my Bermuda Bay one, I've gone over with my Wink of Stella as well. So I've just used my Wink of Stella to go over my shells. And I don't actually think you can see it on camera, but in real life it's really nice because Wink of Stella gives a real subtle, glittery look to the shells. So I've just done it on that one, just to show you something else that you can add on top of this background. So now what I'm going to do is I want to rough all my edges up a little bit. And you can do that with scissors. So you can get your scissors and you can just run them along. And I've done that in one of my previous videos. But I've actually purchased one of these. I bought it off of eBay. It was very cheap. I can't even remember how much it was. And I'm just going to run that just like this down the edge of my cardstock. And I'm going to do that on all of the edges and all of my pieces. I've now been round all of my edges and roughed them up a bit, and just on a couple I've done a few tears and just curled the paper. So I've just done that on 2, and the other 2 I've just left with the edges done. And now we're going to start putting this card together, these cards together I should say. So I'm going to be bringing my seahorses in. I've lost my Balmy Blue one, there it is. Okay, so they're going to be on like this. And then I've got this little, I have these pieces of net that I cut out earlier. And I'm going to arrange those behind my seahorse. And to attach that, so let's start with this one. I've got some glue squeezed onto my silicone mat. And I'm just going to put, this is a makeup sponge that I just bought these from the pound shop, and I'm just going to go over the back with my glue and then just stick this piece down. I can do the same with the other one. So if you just go over with your embossing buddy, then if there's any stickiness, that will get rid of it. And then we're going to put dimensionals on the back of our seahorse, and we're going to put that on top of there. So I'm just going to go and put all of my fishnet on all of these, and then I'll come back. I'm really pleased with these cards. I love the way they've come out. I really enjoyed making them. I hope you enjoyed watching me make them. They're not actually that tricky to make, but they're a little bit time consuming. It took me about 20 minutes to colour all the backgrounds in, and the seahorses, they don't take too long to do actually. It's not an awful lot of blending, it's just a quick colour. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and don't forget this is a block hop, so this is the Stampin' Hop block hop, and if you go to the description below the video you will find my link, and you go to my link that goes to my blog post, and then you can hop along. So you can look at all of my pictures, and then you can hop along to the next person, and then hop along to the next person and see all the projects that we've made. And again, this is Casing the Catalogue. So thanks for watching, and part 2 will be the box. Bye.